What's up, guys? This is Southern WRX here, and just want to talk to you guys about my particular Subaru um, that I purchased. The vehicle I got is a silver 2004 Subaru Impreza WRX. Purchased it back in June of this year, 2015, and there's a lot of decision that went into my car. I knew I wanted a Subaru. Um, Debated between the WRX and STI a lot. Settled on the WRX for numerous reasons. Initially, I settled on it for the price difference. STIs typically run, even used with the year that I looked at, 2004, which now is an 11-year-old car. Prices usually were anywhere between 2 to sometimes 7 and 8 grand more. I paid 7.5 for mine. There's quite a few that retailed with equivalent miles and condition as mine, upwards of 12 and $13,000. Now, of course, some were available for cheaper prices, closer to what I had, but typically showed more signs of wear and tear, more miles, had a lot more questionable mods on it. So, anyways, I settled with the WRX. I knew I was taking a lot of um, compromises with that. The compromises, the main thing being, anyone that knows a lot about Subarus, or even a little bit, knows the big transmission problem that the WRX or STI has. The WRX carries the 5-speed, which is good, but it's not the bulletproof 6-speed that STIs tend to carry. Now, the new 2015s supposedly have a different story behind that. So that's one of the things that I recommend a lot of people look at. Are you going to be making excessive horsepower? Is this going to be a daily driver? Is this going to be a track car? Like I said, the horsepower thing, are you going to go up in horsepower a lot, as in 350 horsepower to the wheels? Mine right now was dynoed at 280 wheel horsepower. I'd like to get it re-dynoed myself and see what kind of difference that makes. But that's about the edge of. I've talked to a lot of people, read a lot, and it's kind of the edge, the limit of keeping a reliable 5-speed. It's been a few years since I've driven it's been a few years since I've driven a WRX or a manual, and so when I got the WRX, I still kind of had to, I want to say relearn, but had to get used to driving the manual again. So I'm sure I've put more wear and tear on the WRX than an experienced driver would have. So I'm sure that's going to eventually take out some wear on the transmission. But mostly, hopefully, it was just the clutch that I was burning up a little bit. Another thing to consider when you're looking at WRX and STI is the looks. They're fairly similar. The STIs tend to carry a little more flair. A lot of people really don't care for the STI, mostly for that wing, visually. It's a love or hate thing. Kind of don't care for it. It's not my taste, but I know a lot of people that don't mind it or they love it. It's completely a preference thing. Like with most spoilers, their efficiency increases as your speed increases. This car is mostly a daily driver for me. Occasionally I want to be taking it to a track, so it will come into use, once in a blue moon, but I don't, like I said, I have the WRX, so mine has a lower whale fin sort of spoiler. You can go and Google 2004 WRXs and see, exactly what I have on mine. Now, one of the things that you can easily do is a trunk swap, or you can just remove the wing period and put plugs in there. I've seen people do that. So if that really bothers you, you really want the WRX, or you really want the STI over the WRX, that's an easy possibility. One of the things I do want to upgrade for is the intercooler intake, the hood scoop, pretty much is what I'm trying to say. And that is a little bit taller. You get a little more airflow. Once again, it's another thing that it increases dramatically as your speed increases, but I like the looks of it. I think it's a little more aggressive looking and will provide a little more sportier look. What else? Like I said, my main reason for going WRX was it was a daily driver, um, and the cost. I ended up saving quite a few $1,000s. Now my WRX, when I purchased it, came modified. I usually don't care for modified cars. This one, the reason I went with this is the guy had documentation of all the mods that he had done to it. He had documentation of when they were done and who did it. I'm a little more okay with that for a few reasons. Um, One of them being that the modifications were recent. I purchased the car in June of 2015. The modifications were done the first week of May. So they were barely a month and a half old, which means that the car had hopefully been put through less beatings over and over and over as compared to a car that had been heavily modified, for a couple of years and had been driven hard. One of the things you got to remember when you're buying a used car, especially WRX, STI, sports cars in general, people don't buy them typically to granny around. They're usually bought to be driven, and usually not driven easily. They're hard driven. So just keep that in mind whenever you purchase a sports car, especially WRXs and STIs. More so, I think, because they're known for rallying, which means they very well could have been taken off road, beaches, dirt tracks, stuff like that. So I think that can cause a little more wear and tear on your suspension. So just when you go over to look at getting a used one, make sure you go through it well. But back to mine, it has a APS SR30 turbo. The turbo itself isn't a large turbo. It's not a turbo that takes a lot of RPMs. It's not a high spooling turbo. So it tends to spool. I'll start boosting 3,000-ish RPMs, which I like because it's making more use of the way I drive. Also, when I take it to autocross or road course or something like that, I take advantage of the turbocharger earlier on rather than waiting for it to spool up and taking a while, and then I finally get into my power band range. So that is nice. It also has a APS top mount intercooler. This is a larger intercooler, still top mounted. So it's larger than the WRX, larger than the STI one, I believe, but definitely takes up a noticeable portion of the top of the engine. It also has APS intake and APS turbo back exhaust. Has an up pipe, equal length headers. Has a coilover suspension on it. Manual boost controllers. It's been tuned, custom tuned. Has a Cobb Access Sport V3. And just in general has minor upgrades. The wheels are inky wheels, 17-inch, 7.5-inch wide, so they're not dramatic, lightweight, but so there's been some modifications to it. It does, like I said, 280 wheel horsepower is what it was dynoed at. So I haven't taken it to a track yet to see how that correlates into usable numbers. Some people can make a huge dyno pull, but their track days or their track times or quarter mile times might not be as good. So that's one of the things to keep in mind. Just because you put out huge horsepower numbers, how good are you at using that? I know I'm going to be pretty terrible in the beginning because I'm still getting used to driving the manual. My daily driver, I guess you could say I still have, is a 2008 Volkswagen Jetta. It's manual, or it's automatic. It's got a 5-cylinder, 2.5-liter engine, so it's not huge, but it's also my wife's car that when we purchased a new vehicle, she had her new vehicle, and I took that over. So picked up Subaru for a play car, but also enjoy it because it can be daily driver. So that kind of wraps up what is done to my car right now. I do have a few things that I've done to it myself. Put the peer end links on it. I like those. They're firm. They're not the spherical type. They're just the regular bushing. So, they still have a little bit of give to it, but not nearly as much as the factory ones. Also put Michelin Super Sports on there. The tires needed to be replaced when I first got the vehicle, so I've upgraded to Michelin's. Those are pretty sticky from what I've heard about, so I'd like to take it to a track and see how well it's doing. One of the things I've noticed, and like I said, I've only had the vehicle for a few weeks, is, excuse me, the all-wheel drive is fantastic. If you've never had an all-wheel drive car, you've never driven an all-wheel drive car, their launch is just something completely new to me. Front-wheel drive car from my Jetta. Like I said, definitely not a race car, but fun. It's pretty agile, and even having driven Corvettes and stuff like that, Mustangs, high horsepower rear-wheel drive cars, are good, but the all-wheel drive is just something completely new. If you've never launched in one, you're in for an experience. So once you learn how to launch correctly, which is another thing I'm still working on, but even what little ability or experience I have, it's still great. Like I said, when you're cornering, your handling, and all that makes a huge difference too. But for right now, that's about all I have. If you guys have any questions about what I have, I know one of the biggest things is exhaust. I've actually been reading about it on mine lately because I'd like to change my sound a little bit. It's not bad. It's just not that Subaru look I'm going for. And I know my biggest thing with that is the equal length headers that I run compared to the unequal length headers that come from the factory, where a lot of people upgrade to for extra sound or performance. My equal lengths, in theory, put out more usable horsepower, or I guess free up horsepower, and so it takes away from that boxer sound that the Subarus typically have. So like I said, if you guys have any questions, I'm going to try to post up a video of the car. Long story, and on my next vlog is going to be on that, about why I haven't taken some pictures or anything. I'm going to try to get some tomorrow, but the car is in the shop right now. So anyways, I'll try to get some of those so that you guys can see. But like I said, shoot me some emails or leave some comments here, message me, whatever. And you guys stay tuned for the next one. Don't forget, if you like, go down below, click the like button, give me a thumbs up, and leave some comments, subscribe, look for the next videos coming out pretty soon. Thanks, guys.